Hi guys, Jonna here, and this is my presentation of the Brain Rules book by John Medina, specifically the chapter on brain and exercise. This is a Google slide deck that I am using with the Screencast-O-Matic program. The chapter opens up with a great example of how a lifetime of consistent physical activity can affect the brain. Jack LaLanne, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. He was a famous bodybuilder, and he was nicknamed the godfather of the American fitness movement. And even in his very advanced age, he was very, very sharp mentally. So I thought it was pretty cool that they talked about how our ancestors may have walked up to 12 miles per day. They migrated a lot, and they moved constantly in search of food, changing climates to get away from predators, and yet our brains continue to develop and evolve under these conditions of constant movement. So it seems that we are hardwired for lots and lots of movement, definitely not designed to live under the sedentary lifestyles that are prevalent today. So exercise is connected through research to brain power, even in young people. Research study after research study connects exercise to both physical and mental agility in both late in life as well as younger years. So then the obvious question comes up in the chapter about exercise as treatment. Can you actually use exercise to reverse problems like Alzheimer's and dementia with exercise? And it seems that research shows that after as little as 4 months of regular aerobic exercise, research subjects were found to have improved cognitive ability. However, once the exercise stopped, the effects began to disappear. So as far as prevention, regular exercise cuts risk for Alzheimer's by 60%, which I think is very, very interesting and promising. How much and how often? In other words, everyone wants to know, in light of all of this fabulous research, how much do we have to do and how often do we have to do it? And it sounds like the magic numbers are 30 minutes and 3 times per week in order to reap the most benefits. And if you add strengthening routines, you'll have even more benefits. So this chapter also goes into what is it like comparing exercise versus medication for problems like anxiety and depression. So according to the research, it looks like exercise was very, very comparative to medication. In fact, it rivaled it very closely for both men and women. And the results were immediate and lasted as long as it was implemented. So very promising exercise for anxiety and depression. What about children and exercise? What kind of study? So there was definitely less research done on children, but what has been done shows nothing surprising. Exercise for children helps with longer concentration, less anxiety, less depression, same as adults, and also better self-esteem. So definitely more research needs to be done, but it also looks very, very promising for children, and especially at school. Okay, guys, here's where it gets a little nitty-gritty for me. I'm not a science person, but I tried to take notes the best that I could, and this is what I came up with. Why is exercise so beneficial to us? Some of us need to know exactly why. I'm one of those people like, okay, you're telling me it works, but exactly how does it work? Because I'm not sure if I believe you until I hear the details. But this is the best I could come up with. Brain consumes glucose. That actually was interesting to me because I recently did a special diet called keto, and so I was a little bit familiar with that fact. In the extraction process where the brain is consuming the glucose, atoms are ripped apart and create toxins, which are excess electrons, and these are called free radicals because they slam into each other, into other molecules, and this apparently could be very bad if it wasn't for oxygen. And the oxygen absorbs these excess electrons and turns them into carbon dioxide, and that's what you breathe out. Another interesting point is that although we need water and food and oxygen to live, those are three things we can't live without, we can actually survive much longer without water and food than we can oxygen. The brain needs oxygen all the time. Anything more than 5 minutes and brain damage will happen. Okay, more science. So then the oxygen provides your body with better access to nutrients through your bloodstream. So new and deeper blood vessels are stimulated and created through exercise, and this prevents nutrient and oxygen. It doesn't prevent it, it provides more nutrient and oxygen to the tissue and removes waste better. And then there's something called BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And apparently this is like Miracle-Gro, fertilizer for the brain. It keeps existing neurons healthy and encourages neurogenesis, which is especially helpful in protecting our brains against stress. So what does this mean for the work that we do? Some of the recommendations were pretty cool by the author. He said, of course, more recess, at least twice a day, but even better if there were more. Students should be moving while they're learning. Teachers should be moving while they're thinking. Instead of sitting at desks all day, students should be moving. Maybe they could sit on bouncy balls. Maybe they could walk and learn. Maybe teachers could have walking meetings. He even gave the example of having a treadmill under your desk, and actually I've seen that in a few movies, so it's not that far-fetched. But these are great concepts, and reading this whole section was very, very motivating to me, made me want to go out and exercise immediately, and that's kind of why I chose it. I thought, if I read about exercise, maybe that will even bring me more motivation, and it actually really, really has. I want to stay very clear-minded as long as I can, and this is just one more reason to exercise if there weren't enough already. So thanks for listening, guys. I know I had a few verbal flubs, but I enjoyed making this, and I thought it was really fun to be creative with it, and I definitely would like to use this again in the future.